So you know that recession we were all told we were in only a few weeks ago, might it already be over? Well, short answer, very possibly. We know that because we've just got the latest GDP numbers. This is the state of the economy, the rate at which we are seeing things grow. Anything above the line here is showing you growth. Anything below the line is contraction. This is months, OK? And you can see there, this is the period when Britain was formerly in recession. Very shallow recession, it's worth saying, but largely because of these big falls in the month, which led to quarterly falls, and that in turn constituted a formal recession. And here we are now. This latest data out showing that we have growth of 0.2% in January. It doesn't sound like much, but it's not all that bad, and it's more or less in line with what economists had expected. And if that continues for the next few months, which most economists think it probably will, then that means the UK is out of recession, very short-lived. It's worth just looking at the constituent parts, so you can kind of break these bars down into different parts of the economy, work out what's driving it. The light blue bits there are showing you the services sector. So that is basically retail. It's the bulk of economic growth in the economy. And you can see it's partly because people were spending more in the shops that we saw this big increase, and also construction as well, manufacturing slightly negative. But what's interesting too is not just looking at those monthly growth numbers, but looking at the size of the economy, because there's a broader story here. You know, we might have growth at the moment, but back before the pandemic, the expectation, or at least a lot of people might have hoped, the economy would have got bigger and bigger. And what we're looking at here, the line's just showing you the total size. So it's not just the growth rate, it's the total size. But instead, just look at what happened. Obviously, you had the pandemic, you probably spot that there. But more or less, the economy since, in the last couple of years, has basically been flatlining. And the Chancellor and the Prime Minister have talked about wanting to get growth, but actually, more or less, it has been flat. And the thing I think that's also particularly striking about this is we have a larger population, partly because of immigration, those massive immigration numbers. And if you look at GDP per head, so the growth, the income growth we have per head of the population, look at that red line. Rather than growing ever so slightly, or more or less flatlining, but slightly growing, this is actually shrinking. So that's the big picture right now. Yes, the UK may not be in recession as a result of those growth numbers. We'll have to wait and see what the next few months show, but probably not in recession. But broadly speaking, flatlining, or if you look at it in per head terms, slightly shrinking.